Hey MJ traders and investors, it's Rod with Powell Group. Welcome back on the Pursuit of Wealth for an MJ Sector Review. Today's a review for Monday, April 12th, and it was quite the day in the market today, especially in the MJ space, with SPY at all-time highs and an all-time high daily record close, and MJ stocks just got absolutely pummeled today, and that had a lot to do with Aphria earnings. I did a video on that earlier today. You can check that out. But we'll focus on the topic of the day. It's going to be Uber and whether or not they're getting into the cannabis delivery business. So we'll look at that article in just a second. We'll go over some other news and events for the day, and we'll look at the Canadian and the US MJ sectors on some charts. Before we do though, make sure to smash the like and subscribe to the channel. So Uber could get into the marijuana delivery business, says the CEO. Uber could branch into MJ deliveries if the federal government repeals its national MJ prohibition. The CEO of Ride Sharing Pioneer said Monday, when the road is clear for cannabis, when federal laws come into play, we're absolutely going to take a look at it, said the CEO. New Mexico governor signs MJ legalization bill, making state third to enact reform within days. Also, Minnesota MJ legalization bill sails through fifth committee with floor vote expected next month. And 4 more potential states could legalize MJ this year after New Mexico, New York, and Virginia. So lots of positive catalysts, and Safe Banking Act could potentially be passed or just moved along within the next couple of weeks. So we'll be keeping an eye out for that as well. But again, I did a video on Aphria earlier today. You can check this out. But essentially, they came in with losses of $361 million as MJ revenue plunged 24%. And we know that Hexo's been rising up the ranks and taking a lot of that market share. And this is very evident, the results that they had, that why they definitely need Tilray at this point, and especially with Hexo and Zenabis merging, it's only going to hurt it even more. But Aphria's claim was that the lockdowns weighed in on their Q3 sales ahead of the Tilray merger. But we'll see. OGI has earnings tomorrow as well, so if OGI has a little bit lower than expected estimates, then maybe we will take Aphria's word for it that the lockdowns really did weigh in on that. But we'll keep an eye out for the results. But this is all in Canadian numbers, and these figures are Canadian dollars. So we're expecting negative 0.045 on the EPS, and estimates on revenue are 20.12 million. And we've been coming in pretty consistently around 20 million on OGI for the last 4 quarters, and 19, 20, 18. So an average of around 19 on the last 3 quarters. So we'll see if we come in around that again. I'm not expecting a huge beat, but I am feeling a little bit better in terms of OGI's earnings compared to Aphria's. And Aphria's earnings, you kind of knew they were going to be bad just because all the analysts revised their expectations downwards. Plus the fact that they were buying Tilray just kind of screams that they were looking for a cry for help, so to speak, and likely anticipated that they were falling behind. And that's very evident again with Hexo and Zenabis. That's going to be a real key player, and Canopy and the acquisition of Fire and potentially Acreage. So there's going to be a lot of powerhouses, and I could see those 3 running the show. So we'll look at the OGI chart here heading into earnings. We close near the low of the day. Not a lot of investor confidence here going into earnings tomorrow. We did have a little mini uptick in volume, which crossed the 20-period moving average. We had support, a mini higher low here at 281. We closed below it. It wasn't very strong support, so not surprising to see us lose that and close below it. The key support here is going to be 238. And if we look in the weekly chart, that's the weekly support level. So just like everybody, we were looking to save the EMA 12 exponential mover, the exponential moving average, but we failed to do that on APHA, and as a result, that caused, in my opinion, OGI to lose its as well and just follow the overall sector. So now we have the last hope for bulls, which is weekly support levels. So on OGI, it's 238. So if we have a bearish reaction to OGI, we'll be watching that number. And similar to Aphria, yesterday we said if we had a bearish reaction, we'd be watching 1378. And here you go. Today we hit 1381 and we held it. And we closed above it at 1395. So avoided the weekly downtrend with a lower high and a lower low with no follow through. And we didn't fully break it. So there's no weekly downtrend yet. As long as bulls maintain that level, we are smooth sailing. But this is not what bulls want to see with SPY, the S&P 500 at all-time highs, and MJ consolidating. Just not a good look. What if SPY sees any significant consolidation or rolls over, check out my broader market video that I did earlier today as well for a little bit more detail on that and the broader market. But we are not set up well on MJ. A lot of names could see weekly downtrends and EMA 12 and 26 bear crosses. Taking a look at Aurora, we already had its weekly EMA 12 and 26 bear cross, but Aurora has usually been weaker anyway, so we won't really take that to heart too much, because it's not surprising that Aurora is leading the weakness. And I apologize if there's any Aurora investors out there, but I very much dislike that company and just continues to disappoint shareholders. So on Hexa, we have weekly support at 558, and we lost EMA 12 just like everybody else, but we are holding EMA 26, which is sitting at 572. So 558, 572, lots of support in that area. And taking a look at Tilray, Tilray was weak. Tilray's already confirming weekly downtrends. So this is not what bulls want to see. The more names that confirm weekly downtrends, the more likely that whichever name you're following that isn't already in a weekly downtrend is likely going to enter one as well. So on the negative, on the bear side, we had APHA, Tilray, and VFF. On the bull side, did we even have any? We had one, PCLO. So moving on, just want to check the OGI weekly chart. So we did have a heads up last week. We closed bearish on the stochastic, the MACD, and below the 10-week moving average, and here we are seeing follow through this week. So we were given some early clues and heads up. We did hold the 100 period moving average at the 100 weekly moving average at 277. So that's going to be a strong support level as well. We'll be watching to see whether or not that holds into tomorrow. But the low of the day was 275. So we did break it, but not by much. After that, we have the 50 weekly down at 184. On the daily averages, we lost the 50 a couple of days ago, and we broke to a lower low, and we don't have any support into the 100 day down at 241 and 250 psychological. On the VWAP, we are sitting below it, but we'll want to see it close below by the end of this week. So, bulls aren't completely game over yet. They can still step in, but we are losing it. So I'd like to see us close the week over 292, but another small red flag in the grand scheme of the OGI picture. So MSOS saw further daily consolidation today. Again, not much MJ was spared today in the bloodbath across the board. So taking a look at the bull and bear list, we had CXXI, EN, MJNA on the decline, and on the move up, we had GTII, IIPR, and AYR even saw a tiny bit of green there into the end of the day. But GTII led the bull list today, closed near the high of the day, and we could be potentially setting a daily high or low here, increasing bull volume. We'll want to see further increasing bull volume tomorrow and to get over this 20 period volume average. But you can see here we had the low at 31, the high at 39.68, and here we are attempting to form a base of support and a higher low here at 33.30. And if we get above the EMAs here and break above 39.68, we will confirm a daily uptrend. And GTII, those who bought the dip were rewarded after that news came out that they were potentially getting sued and involved in malpractice and all this kind of different allegations from the Chicago Tribune that actually didn't have any merit to them. So we'll just take a look at a couple other names here. Cura, so a little bit of a lower wick, did see some dip buying there into the end of the day. And like I said, MSOS still weak, but just looking for a higher low compared to 38.80. And based on the size of this pullback, we're likely going to anticipate a type of equilibrium where we tighten up. But again, we're going to be watching SPY. It's going to be extremely important watching the S&P 500 because we are at all-time highs. We haven't consolidated in about 12 days now. I think that's got to be a record. So you can't help but wonder and keep in the back of your brain what's going to happen if SPY sees daily consolidation. Doesn't mean that we can't go inverse to the overall broader market. We went inverse today. We went down while SPY was going up. So there absolutely can be inverse correlations, but we'll be monitoring that very closely and expect another video out tomorrow on the Organogram earnings. With that, thanks so much for joining us on the Pursuit of Wealth for another MJ Sector review. And best of luck going into the trading day tomorrow. And we shall see you tomorrow after market close. Take care, everybody, and we'll talk to you again real soon.